Alright, I'm doing the rear struts on the Expedition today. This applies for all 07 to 17 Expeditions. Short wheelbase, long wheelbase, doesn't matter. You need a 22 if your lug nuts are ballooned to take the lug nuts off. You're going to need a 27 to remove this bolt. That's larger, I don't have it, so I use my big adjustable. Another 27. So you have a 27 here for the lower shock, and then you have a 27 up there by the spare tire. You may need to drop this depending on your tools and ability. So once you remove that bolt, you're going to put a floor jack under it to support it, crank it up just a little bit, slide the bolt out, and then from there you could remove the lower shock bolt out of here. The shock will blow through the bottom like so, and then you have 3 15 mils. There's one in the back I already took off, and then there's 2 in the front here. So once you take that off, then this shock will drop down. You can put a little pressure on this arm or the hub to drop it down. You do not need to remove any of these side control arms, so this is as least invasive as possible. I just got some cheap quick replacement struts off Rock Auto. This is the part number. They do not have a spring on them, so they're just bare like this. So I have a spring compressor tool, so I'm just going to change the springs on the shock itself to reuse my OEMs. I have nothing against aftermarket springs, I just figured the factory ones are better, and my truck is not from the Rust Belt. As you can see, with almost 200K on it, she looks like a beaut. So I'm happy to reuse the springs, and they were only 25 bucks a piece, which is cheap. How can you beat that? All right, so here's what this looks like with the shock blown off the strut. Basically, this is your spring compressor tool. It has 2 legs on it. It sucks onto a coil on each side, and then you just send it home with the impact gun to compress the spring. And then there is a 17 mil socket, or nut I should say, on top of the strut here, which you'll loosen and remove, and then you decompress the spring by loosening it. And then here you go, here's your big bloomin' onion. There's your new strut. The new strut comes with that cable tie around it to keep it compressed, because once you cut that, the strut will then go right out. They give you a new nut for the top of the new strut because usually it's a different thread pitch than the original. And that's it. So now I'm gonna assemble my whole dicky here, put the spring back in the perch. You can see the spring will bottom out right there against that lip, or that edge. So there's the end of the coil spring. That'll sit right there, and then you can assemble the rest of the strut. And then she'll go back in. There you can see how it all looks. Again, very straightforward. I'd probably say I have a half an hour into it up to this point, so figure an hour aside, maybe quicker if you have better tools or a better setup than I have.